The foundation was set up in 2001, and over the past 16 years now, its work has expanded substantially. So while the purpose and the vision of the foundation is to contribute to a society that is more just, equitable, humane, and sustainable, the question then is, what do we do? How do we actually bring this to life? How do we concretize this? And if you were to look at the work of the foundation, which really is the concrete shape of this purpose, this vision that we have two big parts to our work. One, we have extensive work in this country, in India, where we work on the ground on the matter of trying to help improve equity and quality of the public education system, what we call the government education system in this country. So that's large-scale field work that we have. That's one big part. And then the foundation runs the Azim Premji University. And the Azim Premji University conducts teaching programs, does research, engages with the world of practice with the same purpose. The most relevant starting point is that we go back to 1999-2000, when Mr. Premji thought that he must do something for society. And it was not necessarily a vision which had any grand aims, but this very deep, intense feeling that he must do something for society. And it's at that point in time that we started looking out, trying to figure out that when we think that we should contribute something to society, what does it mean? And if you look at our country, look at not just our country, look anywhere in the world, there are very many ways of contributing. We considered a few things. And in 2000, 2001, it was a very intuitive decision we took. And when I say intuitive, that's as opposed to some deep analysis, some thoughtful strategizing. We did not do all that. Of course, we went around learning from experiences of others. I think you can look at the foundation's history or the past 16 years in three phases. So the first phase, I would say, is 2001-2002. The second phase is beginning 2002 end to about 2009, and then subsequently from 2009 to now and in the future. The first phase, which is these first 2 years, 2001-2002, they were really our foundational years. I think the first important decision that we took from the learnings in those 2 years is that we'll work on the matter of public education. Meaning, we'll work with government schools. And that is a very critical decision. And that continues to remain our primary purpose even today. So that we'll work with public education, with the government schooling system. It meant obviously very many things. It meant that we are not setting up our own schools. It meant that the government schools are there, and the question then is, what are you going to work on? And therefore, it was a second key decision that we'll work on the matter of quality and equity. So we said we'll work on public education, we'll work on the matter of quality and equity. So in those 2 years, these are the first two critical decisions that we took. The third was in some senses an equally important decision that we took at that point in time, was that the foundation will be an operating organization, an operating entity. Our experience in those 2 years told us that while financial support is critical in the area of school education, it's perhaps equally challenging to execute. When I say execute, actually to make things happen, to work, right? And which is why we took a decision that we'll work on public education, we'll work on quality and equity, but we'll work through an operating organization and not be a grant-making organization. So that, I think, is, let's say, the gist of phase one of the foundation's life. Then the phase two is, after we had decided these three things, phase two is, let's say, 2003 onwards till 2009. And those 6 years, then we worked on the matter of public education, government schools, with government schools, on the matter of quality and equity across multiple states in this country. And all our work, absolutely all our work, was in partnership, in collaboration with various state governments. We worked on the matter of curriculum, on matter of textbooks and workbook development. We worked on policy issues. We worked on assessment reform. We worked on capacity development of teachers, of head teachers, other functionaries. So we worked on a range of issues across the country in collaboration with various state governments. So I think those 6-7 years were very crucial in developing our own understanding, our own capacity, and which really formed the platform or the basis on which we further took up our work post 2009, which is the third phase as I've called it. So these 6-7 years really were foundational to the foundation. And then if you look at the ending of the second phase, as I've called it, 2008, 2009, I think what happened was that there was a conviction that grew within us. There's a conviction that grew within Mr. Premji that school education is something that he and we would want to commit much more to, and much more to, not just in the form of scaling up our work, but also in the form of, shall I say, permanence and sustenance of our work, right? So I think the question that we asked of ourselves in 2008, 2009, is it okay? Now we have done work in this area for 8 years. Now, if you're going to really commit to the school education area permanently, so to say, and you would want to scale up your work, what is it that you would do? Right? And I think, again, like I was talking about the first phase of our life, where we learned 3 big things, or took 3 big decisions. Similarly, in this period of 2009, roughly 2008, 2009, which is the end of our second phase, we sort of consolidated all our learning, and that then formed the organizing principles for what we are like today. The first was that if we are committed to this matter, that education is transformative, it can be transformative, and transformative for a just, equitable, humane, sustainable society, then you really have to work forever. When I say forever, what I mean is that it's a constant endeavor to keep improving. You've not really reached an end. So you have to work continually, right? So you can't say, what it means is you can't say, I will do a project and the project is 3 years and then I'll shut down the project and then thereafter somehow things will continue to improve or change or remain even stable. So it does mean that if education has to fulfill its transformative power for society and for individuals, it requires continuous work. So that is one. 2 is this, that it's without a question that enormous amount of educational principles, understanding, matters, issues, they're actually universal. However, this universality of school education cannot be adequately brought to life unless there is a deep recognition of contextual reality. Now, I have deliberately put it in the manner that I have put. So, there are 2 extreme positions that one can adopt. One extreme position is, oh well, all learning, all education is very local. It must be deeply contextual, socio-cultural, geographic, and so on. That's one extreme. And the other extreme is, well, everything is universal. I mean, every child must learn the same curriculum, the same syllabus, the same kind of stuff. And I think the reality is actually a mix, not in between. A reality is a mix, which is, of course, there is a universality to the knowledge and to the principles. But at the same time, what you do really must be contextual, right? So, while we realize in those 6 years that school education work must be permanent, we also realize that it must be deeply contextual, bringing in the universal aspects of education. Right? So, there are 2 key things. Right? The third issue that we, I think, realize very strongly is that to be able to make impact at a systemic level, because we were not working for trying to help improve 1 school, 2 schools, 3 schools. We're trying to contribute towards the entire school education system in this country. It's not enough to be working on one aspect of school education. If you're really looking for systemic improvement, one should be able to work on pretty much all aspects of school education. Curricular objectives, curriculum, syllabus, textbook, teaching learning material, capacity of teachers, the teacher education system, the operations on the ground, capacity of other functionaries, the entire range. One should be able to work on that, because everything sort of comes together eventually to try and help the systemic improvement happen. So the third thing was that we said we'll work on all aspects. The fourth important thing that we took away was that we should also be able to work on every level of school education. So aspect and level. And level means that we should be able to work on school education on the ground, meaning with the schools, with the communities around. And then we should be able to work at the first level of, let's call it, systemic aggregation, which is the block in the district, where you have the block education officer, you have the block resource center, you have the cluster resource center, you have the district education officer. So this is the first level of systemic aggregation. So you have schools and then you have the block and district system, right? So we should be able to work there as well. And of course, at the level of the state, because there are very many matters such as the curriculum or textbook or other matters of policy which really worked upon at the level of the state. We decided that the foundation and its work must be organized in a manner which is, we can say that we are organized around institutions. And why do I call them institutions? Because the institutions have the characteristic of the real long term, right? You're not working on a project. If you set up an institution, you're not saying that I'm going to be working here for 2 years and 3 years and 5 years and go away. You set up an institution because you want to contribute to that permanently. So the most important implication of the learning from the second phase was that we decided that we'll organize our work and ourselves in the form of institutions. Now, what did that mean in concrete terms? What it meant in concrete terms is that the districts, the blocks where we work, we'll have district level institutions. The district level institutions will work on the ground. At the state level, we'll have state level institutions which will work on the matters that have to do with the state on school education. Let me take one particular district, and the rest of the districts that I talked about are sort of a replica of this, right? So let's pick the district of Bardmer. Now, Bardmer is in western Rajasthan. It's a very large district. Its population is something like 2.5 million, 25 lakhs. It has roughly, I think, 17 or 18,000 teachers. It's geographically also a very large district. So in the district of Bardmer, we have roughly 60 people. Now, these 60 people, more than half of them, or roughly half of them, are located in the town of Bardmer, and the others are located in the various block locations of the district. Now, who are these people and what do they do? Most of these people, we can call them teacher educators, meaning they actually work directly with teachers to help develop their capacities. So that's what they do. And when I say that they are teacher educators, then naturally some of them are specialists in science, some of them are really good at primary level science, some at middle level science, some are language people, some in social science. So there's an entire mix. So you have a mix of teacher educators who can deal with primary, middle, secondary subjects and can deal with different subjects. And then these people deal directly with the matter of teacher education. When I say teacher education, it's continuing professional development of teachers who are already working in the government schooling system. Right? Of course, this team also has people who can work with head teachers, which means principals of schools, to try and develop their capacity. There are people who could work on other matters on school education. Right? So you have this entire team in Bardmer. Now this team in Bardmer, which is the Azim Premji Foundation District Institute team, is continually working with the teachers, with the head teachers on this matter of capacity development. Also, it's not as though our presence, and I've already pointed that out, our presence is limited to the city of Barmer, because Barmer itself is very big. So a lot of our work happens, our workshops, our sessions, sometimes these are 5-day workshops, these are half-day workshops, these are evening discussions. There's a range of capacity development interventions. Some of these happen in the district town of Barmer, the city of Barmer. Some of these happen in what we call teaching learning centers. And teaching learning centers are, let's just call them a reasonable sized library, resource with experimental kits, which has a nice set of computers and internet connection. It's a space for teachers to gather and learn from each other. And these are spread across the block towns, which we have established. So a lot of our work happens in the city of Barmer, but a huge amount of our work actually happens as close as possible to where the teachers live in these teacher learning centers. If you recollect, 2004 is in some senses the middle of our learning phase, or second phase of our life. In 2004, it struck us that one of the key reasons because of which we are not able to scale up our work is that we are not able to find enough people who really have expertise in the kind of work that we are wanting to do. So in 2004, if you were to look around at people who had expertise in curriculum development, assessment reform, or teacher education for that matter, it was very hard to find people in this country. As we, shall I say, investigated this matter a little bit more, we realized that surprisingly, India over the past 50, 60 odd years had invested too little in creating higher education capacity for school education. So if you look at master's and PhD level programs, preparing people to work in education on these fundamental issues of education, those numbers were very small. Actually, they were extraordinarily small. And I'll give you a comparison point. Master's and PhD level students that graduate in, let's say, Canada, and Canada has a population of, I think, 33 million, right, or 35 million. Roughly 2,000 people graduate every year with a master's or PhD in education. If you look at our country, the number in 2004, 2005 perhaps was 500, perhaps was 700. And so you look at the comparison, Canada with 33 million people, we with 1,200 or 1,300 million people. They are graduating 2,000 people, we are graduating 500, 700 people. And we must also remember that the Canadian school education system is, to put it mildly, way more evolved than ours. So it seemed clear to us that there was a requirement for a very large number of master's and PhD level programs in school education. We had worked for a long time with the Karnataka government, and the Karnataka government had clearly seen that we were dedicated, we were focused entirely on the matter of helping public education improve. The Karnataka government was very receptive to the idea that we could set up a university here, and eventually that's what happened. So the Karnataka state legislature passed an act, the Azim Premji University Act, and we set up this university where we are here today. It became quickly clear to us that if we are wanting to do a good job of master's and PhD in school education, we will have to have a multidisciplinary faculty. So what I mean by that is, it's not as though you can do a good job of a master's and PhD in school education related areas just by having people who have worked in school education. Right? You will have to have people who are philosophers interested in school education. You need the physics people, the mathematics people, you need the sociologists, the economists, who are very strong in their disciplines but are interested in the matter of school education. And only then can you do really a good job of master's and PhD in school education areas. So that became clear to us. But when that became clear to us, we started asking ourselves one simple question, and that question was that then why limit the mandate of this university only to the matter of school education? Why not expand the mandate of the Azim Premji University to include all matters of human development? Why just school education, but why not public health? Why not the matter of governance? Why not the matter of legal reforms? Why not the matter of livelihoods? Why not the matter of nutrition? So all these, and I'm using the phrase human development, there might be a more appropriate phrase, but these matters of human development which really are the things that contribute to a better society, to a more just, equitable, humane, sustainable society. Why not on all that, right? And as we looked around, although clearly our understanding on these other areas was not the same as school education, it did seem as though more broadly the entire human development sector, the human development endeavor in this country, it did need more and more capacity at the higher education level to prepare, let's just call them, education and development sector professionals who can go out there and contribute to a better India, right? So that's how, when the university then came to life in 2009, 2010, we do think that our work has only started. We are continuing to expand. If we have roughly 1,200 people in our field institutions across the country, we are hoping that we can expand to a level where we have 2,500 to 3,000 people across the field locations. At the same point in time, the university will expand from the current state of about 120 faculty members, about 1,000 students, to maybe 350, 400 faculty members and roughly 4,000 students. We will be operating, the university will be operating from a 2.6 million square feet campus in the east of Bangalore, and we'll have multiple campuses in this district locations where we work.